4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everybody, how's it going? Bobby Gooden here, also known throughout the online realm as Ironhammers, and I am extremely loud. Let me turn that down. Let me turn it down. Anyhow, this is episode 68 of Ironhammers Live, your weekly PC gaming podcast, being broadcast live every single Sunday at around about 10 PM. And it is also March the 4th, 2012, just to throw that in there. I just introduced myself and I got it all completely wrong, but I can get this man's name right. Hardly Dan, Daniel Knappman. Speak to me, save me Dan, save me.
How you doing, man?
Oh, thank God you're there. I was just waiting for it just to go silent and just not to actually hear anything and be like, no, it's all wrong. How the hell are you, man? I'm doing well.
I am fantastic, doing well. Yeah, cold but well.
Your video's still working.
Well, hey!
It's like as if you've got extra upload speed or something.
Which I actually don't yet.
No, you should have.
Yeah, so it could be even better next week.
It could be. Let's hope for that, man. How's your week been? You've been up to anything exciting?
I've been playing a lot of one game in particular, which I guess we'll come to later.
Tease them, Dan. What have you been playing?
I've been playing Mass Effect. The first one.
The first one? Oh, you went all the way back.
Yeah.
Way back.
Yep, and I'm loving it.
Yeah? See, I can't play this first one again. I can play the second one. If I try and play the first one, it just feels so different compared to the second. I don't know.
I'm kicking ass on the first one. I'm doing so many side missions that I never even found.
Knew existed. I know, man. I know the feeling. I've been playing a couple of games this week as well, Dan, which I'll talk about later, including War Game European Escalation, which I'm having a lot of fun with, and Microsoft Flight, which you should all be playing because it's free. You should at least be looking at it, surely.
Yeah, definitely.
I would have thought so. And aside from that, we've got a little bit of news, a little bit of Windows 8 I've been playing about a bit. We might as well discuss it a little during our news section. And we'll be finishing up with our question of the week, which is about Valve possibly releasing a console. Could it be? It could be.
It could be, yeah.
It seems like it might be the case. So if you haven't answered the question of the week yet and you're listening live, get over to ironhammers.org and drop a comment in there. It's the second post down. You can find it nice and easily. And we'll read them all out later on in the show. See what you think about a possible Valve console. Anyhow, let's get into a little bit of PC gaming news. This week's PC gaming news, Dan. We picked out a few, didn't we? And we'll start off with a bit of bad news, I guess. I guess it's not really ever good news. That Blizzard announced they're going to be cutting 600 jobs from their global workforce due to a revision in their business strategies.
I'm guessing not enough money.
Yeah, how can Blizzard not have enough money? What's going on? Something's not right. It's because they're taking so long to release their damn games.
Yeah.
But they come out ready and they come out perfect every time.
A few balance issues now and then.
However, they also said that 90% of the job cuts were coming from non-game development parts of their business.
Yeah.
And that also the World of Warcraft team is completely untouched by the cuts. So WoW is still strong as ever. I just hope none of those jobs were taken from their support.
Yeah.
Because Blizzard support is awesome, and it's part of the thing that makes them so great. If they start cutting jobs in their support section, it's going to suck.
Yeah, I mean, if they're converting their cafes so that their staff canteens, so they're just vending machines, then that's fine.
Do that.
Yeah.
Do that. Yeah, that's okay with me.
Couple of secretaries.
Yeah, why not? Doorman.
Yeah.
The guy that shoos people away from the big statue outside the Blizzard HQ.
Yeah, the shoe shine guys they've got.
Yeah, I'm sure there's one or two of those.
Yeah.
All kinds. Just don't take anybody away from StarCraft, please. Don't keep everybody there. Yeah, I don't think it's that big a deal at the end of the day, because I don't know how many people Blizzard employ across the whole world, but I would imagine that 600 people is quite a small percentage of their overall staff.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Anyhow, should we go on to something a little bit more positive?
Yeah.
What's this, Dan? Sounds like some kind of dessert.
Ah, Raspberry Pi.
It
Yeah.
does,
Well,
doesn't
you might remember sometime last year, one of my news stories was actually about this tiny little computer the size of a USB drive.
I remember.
Well, it's got a bit bigger now. It's about the size of a credit card, and it's on sale. They're expecting to deliver them this month. It costs a whopping £26 for the more powerful B model.
Which has 256 megabytes of RAM compared to 128, is it? Or
No,
is it
they've
512
they've
compared to
upped
256?
They're both at 256 now. The A model just has less USB ports and a couple of other differences. I can't remember what exactly.
But for £26,
Yeah.
it's not like you're really pushing the boat out by going for the top model.
No, not really. And you can have yourself a fully functioning, basically a fully functioning computer that will stream 1080p video and play video games to roughly the quality of the original Xbox, which
So
I
they
think's
say.
fantastic. That's what they say. Yeah. So I'm hoping to get my hands on one. I'm going to use it as a media extender in my bedroom.
And I definitely want one.
Yeah.
And for £26, how can you not want one? Like,
Exactly.
everybody's
I'm
got
going to
one.
have one in my bedroom, one in my kitchen. I might even put one in my toilet.
But I'm thinking of getting one, but I'm trying to think of a genius way to use it, as I was discussing with Dan before the show. I can't think of anything. But some kind of emulation, Dan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perhaps there could be a multi-console emulator attached to the back of my TV with blue tack.
Could well be. The main idea for this is it's a
Probably not
charity.
emulating games.
No, it's a charity, and the head of the charity's realised that in too many schools, kids are being told how to use Word and Office, and stuff you can really teach yourself from a book. They're not actually being taught how to program, and it's pretty much the only thing we do quite well in this country is produce quite good programmers. So we kind of need to start teaching them at a much earlier age, so that we can actually survive as a country and have something we can export.
I wouldn't bet on it.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't bet on it either. But
It's
the
going down.
idea is, at that price, every kid can have a computer. They've designed it so you can plug it into a bog standard old telly, and it'll still work. So all you need to do is put in it needs a minimum of a 2 gig SD card. They've gone for the larger one because the small ones are more expensive, so they've tried to keep it as cheap as possible. And it runs off a micro USB adapter, so a phone charge or something like that will power it. And when it's streaming 1080p video, it draws 3 watts, so it's really cheap to use. It's fantastic.
Sounds pretty
Might
cheap.
put one in my car.
You could put one anywhere, man.
Yeah.
And especially running off that wattage. I mean, you could hook it up to the car easily, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, just plug it into the cigarette lighter.
Exactly.
In fact, that's going to be too much power.
Yeah, you'd have to have some kind of transformer to...
Well, one of those little USB adapters will be fine. But you overclockers out there, you can overclock it to a whopping 800 megahertz. It's an ARM11 chip. I think it's 700. You can get it going to 800.
And it's running a custom version of
Yeah.
Fedora?
Yes, it
Linux
is.
Fedora?
It is indeed.
I'm
And,
guessing it's a custom version, or is there an ARM version of Fedora
No,
already?
No, it's their own custom version. They've had to work with because everything on Fedora has to work on stuff it was designed for, And before this, it never ran on any ARM chips. So they've got their own version of Fedora. When you download it, it comes with a few basic things: web browser, media player, and quite a cool little graphics-based programming tool, which I'm looking forward to playing around with. It might make my own version of Legend of Equip Pants or something.
I look forward to it, man. I look forward to it. When we're talking about Dan's games on the podcast, then that will be the ultimate self-promotion. But moving from Linux to a completely different type of operating system, Microsoft released their Windows 8 consumer preview this week, didn't they, Dan?
They did indeed, and you've played around with it, haven't you?
I've had a little play with it. I did put a blog post up on my personal blog, which is bobby.ironhammers.org, if anybody would like to read it, just discussing the Metro UI, because it's the biggest change about it, and for the first time in a long time, the way we interact with Windows is changing an awful lot. So I thought that was the most interesting part of it, and I actually don't mind the UI. Now, us enthusiast people are obviously not the target audience for that new UI, but from a general user's perspective, it's actually going to be really useful, and I think it's a lot less intimidating than the normal Windows user interface is, despite how simple it seems to us. It's still not obvious what everything is doing, whereas this just makes everything clear, because it's just like a picture of something and you click it and it opens the app, and then you can close the app and it will run on the side. But it works great with a mouse and keyboard, the new UI. You can scroll to go across your tiles with your scroll wheel, and it also looks, although I obviously haven't tried it with a touch interface, it looks really good for touch. It's as if they've covered all the bases for touch, because there's some things that you kind of need in a touch interface, and from the browser, which the Metro version of Internet Explorer, from that right through to the actual desktop or home screen. I don't know what they're even calling the home screen type thing, to be fair. It's not really a desktop anymore, I guess. It seems like it will work great for touch and with a mouse and keyboard. Particularly, I think it will be useful on a laptop
tablet?
Or a tablet, of course. But I'm thinking more along the lines of a netbook or a laptop or something with a smaller screen. The way all the apps go into full screen mode, and the UI pops up as you move your mouse down to the bottom of the screen and stuff. Looks like it's going to make using a smaller screen a lot easier on Windows. So something like a netbook will probably be a lot more usable with this interface, even though it's not touch based, if you see what I mean. It looks like it's definitely got some advantages. So I've had a little play with it. There's still definitely problems with it. It's not ready for release yet by any means, and the way you switch between the two interfaces works really quickly. It's really nice, but that's the problem at the moment, is all normal software doesn't have a Metro version, so there's a few apps that you can use it with. The interesting thing was the Xbox Live is kind of semi-integrated now. It's still kind of working, but not. For example, when it's got a pinball madness FX or something. I can't remember what it's called. It's a pinball game that's already installed when you download it, and it's Xbox Live compatible. It says it on the logo and everything. And when you start it up, you have to log into your Xbox Live account, but it doesn't say Games for Windows Live or Xbox Live or anything. It kind of uses the Metro UI to log into it. But there's no achievements or anything like that added into it yet.
I was about to ask that.
And Solitaire is Xbox Live, so it looks like there's going to be Xbox achievements in Solitaire, Dan.
Oh, brilliant! I've stopped playing that now.
But the store works really well as well. It's really simple. Everything's just really simple. And I know that for maybe me and you, that's not always a good thing.
Yeah.
But for most people, it seems like it's going to be a nice interface to use. And you can just use it normally as well. It works fine. a few things aren't running very well just yet. And the best thing about it was, do you remember, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, I was complaining about my webcam and how I couldn't use an external microphone?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Windows has a camera app where you start it up and it gives you a full screen camera, and you choose which camera you want to use, and you choose which audio you want to use, and you press record, and it just records it in a WMV file.
Oh, fantastic.
So I was kind of wishing that app existed on... because it still pulls 30 frames per second from the camera. So
that was the issue, wasn't it?
That was
when
the
you
only...
used a different mic, it dropped the frame rate.
Yeah, because I had to use a different piece of software to actually use the mic, but this different software wouldn't pull that many frames per second. But this did, because it was Microsoft, you see, so it was quite good, except it's buggy and stuff, and it wasn't... My drivers for my audio devices aren't really recognised by Windows 8 just yet. So although I could record video using my external mic didn't work. But in theory it's there, it works. But yeah, it seems good, and anybody can check it out. Obviously you're going to need like a different partition or something to install it onto, or you can install it to an external hard drive or something, I guess.
Yeah.
Or you can do what I'm now doing, and that is install it and just run it in a virtual machine on your computer. And it even feels quite snappy and quick in a virtual machine, which is pretty promising.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, so far it seems fine. Like,
It definitely seems like they're trying to amalgamate all their devices, so they all have a theme running through them with, with the Xbox Dash, the Windows Phone 7.
yeah, they're
now-
all very, very similar.
Yeah. Which I guess is kind of aping Apple in a way, because their devices have always had a similar feel to using them.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, I don't know.
Well, they're not. I just don't like them.
But yeah, it seems good, man. It seems good. It doesn't bother me. I probably won't use it. To be fair, I won't go out and buy it straight away.
No.
But for people going out and buying a new laptop or something, it's not going to be a hindrance to have Windows 8 on it, I don't think.
Cool.
Pretty good. But let's move on to this strange story that I don't know anything about. Tell me.
Yeah. What do I title it? Gamer Tech Spot 6 Spuds. That was it. There's a learning computer system that's been developed by the University of Lincoln's Robotics Lab.
Does it use a real piece of brain?
No.
I watched the thing with Morgan Freeman. It was like a science channel thing, and this guy had made a like processor type thing using parts of actual real living brain tissue, and he attached it to this little robot thing on wheels, and it could use the brain to navigate around, and it would learn to go around. It was really quite interesting. Probably nothing at all like what you're about to talk to.
No, nothing at all, and it feels like you've kind of pulled the rug out from under me now, because that sounds amazing.
Well, it was pretty impressive. Whether it was real or not, I don't know. It was on like a Discovery Channel or something.
Could have been fake. Anyway.
Amaze me with your story, Dan. I challenge you.
Well, potatoes.
Does it sound as Skynet as the one I just did?
No, it's basically about sorting potatoes. It's a job that's always been done by hand, and it's still done by hand. But I quite liked it because they're using...
well, hang on, just back up a minute. Sorting potatoes.
Yeah.
Like, what are they sorted on? What merits do you sort a potato?
Whether or not they've got diseases like silver scuff and common
I
scab.
see.
And if they've been in the light too long, they turn green, stuff like that. It's always done by hand, because it's so easy for us as people to identify stuff by sight. For computers, not so easy. That's why, things like Google Goggles doesn't really work on things that are organic, because it's quite hard for it to identify that that's a dog, whereas we see a dog and go, oh, it's a dog. And,
I've seen dogs though where it's quite hard to identify if they're a dog.
I've seen people where I can't tell if they're male or female, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, that's another matter.
Sometimes they're both.
It happens.
Yeah, this robot they've built is to help the UK potato industry, which apparently is worth $3.5 billion because we eat so many crisps. And
And when we have roast dinners, we have mash and roast potatoes.
Oh, I don't. I just have roast.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm not going to do mash and roast.
Yeah, but if you're going all out,
I suppose.
you might as well. Come on.
But anyway, I quite like this story because they're using stock, basic PC with a 60 quid webcam, and they're making use of the graphics card to sort these potatoes, doing a lot of stuff that it would do whilst processing game data, only kind of backwards.
Yeah, like reverse engineering a 3D model, I guess, kind of.
Yeah, basically. And they've managed to use this to, and it's apparently as good as a person would be sorting out potatoes.
See, look, now you just get one of these brain chip things I was talking about,
and it'll rule the world.
And it will actually be like the best potato picker ever. Not picker. I guess you don't pick potatoes, do you? You dig potatoes.
Yeah.
Right.
But the problem is with potatoes, they're all different shapes, sizes, colours, and
Wait, you're talking about potatoes, right?
yeah. Well, they're a similar shape, obviously. They're kind of potato-shaped and potato-coloured, but there's lots of variances. And that's really quite hard for a computer to do, but these guys at Leicester are actually using a graphics card. And what looks like a shoddy E-Machines computer built quite a cool little robot. So,
Nice.
that's it, really.
Nice.
I just thought I'd have a food theme to my news topics.
It doesn't have real brain in it, though.
No, it doesn't have real brain in it. It's just got, I think it's an Intel i3 chip.
It's pretty brainy. It's
Oh, yeah.
faster than some people I've met.
Faster than me.
Well, exactly. I guess it depends on the calculations. But anyway, a rather different news section this week.
Yep.
Bit of discussion as well to go with it. And brainy robots that can sort potatoes with real brains in. That wasn't
Yeah.
true. But
It's the future.
well, it was true that I saw a program. I can't remember what it's called. It's called Morgan Freeman something with Morgan Freeman something. I'm putting Winamp all over Dan's face. I'm sorry. I can't remember what it's called. It's called Through the Wormhole with Morgan Freeman. That's what it's called. Look out for it. They put a brain on a chip and made a robot. Which was...
Yeah, there's been a couple of seasons, apparently.
There has?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. This was the only one I'd ever seen. And it had a real brain in it.
Fantastic.
It was actually a really interesting program. But on that note, we're going to take a quick break and hopefully get back on track to some gaming when we return, which we should do because we're going to be talking about what we've been playing this week. So we'll be right back in a few moments. Welcome back, people. Hope you enjoyed that rather generic music and the fact that I forgot to loop it so that we had a brief period of silence. Apologies for that. I shall cut that out of the recorded version. Nobody will ever know. Apart from me saying it when we come back. Yeah, that didn't work quite how I thought it would, did it, Dan?
Shot yourself in the foot there, haven't you?
Pretty much. Anyhow, should we talk about some games that we've been playing?
Yeah, why not?
What should we start with? I'll let you pick. What do you
I'd
wanna
like
know
to
about?
hear something about Wargame European Escalation, because
I
Steve
thought-
asked me about that on the show, and I have not a clue about it.
I thought you might say that, Dan. And let me tell you all about it. It's an RTS game, of course. It's made by Eugen Systems, which are the same guys responsible for Ruse, which was, of course, a multi-platform RTS. This one's PC exclusive, so they've kind of... It seems to me as though they've like scaled back on the bells and whistles that they put in Ruse and the graphics and stuff, and in turn added a whole lot more gameplay and a whole better RTS game that works amazingly well. And the graphics work as well. They're not as detailed. They're still quite detailed, Mike. I'm not saying that the graphics are bad. But it's not as much as what it was in, say, Ruse and in some other RTS games. But it's all kind of done from this overhead, because, I don't know, did you play Ruse at all, Dan?
I didn't.
Well, it had this, like, overhead view system where you can literally scroll out and see the whole map. A bit like Supreme Commander in a way.
Right.
But you can zoom out from, like, a StarCraft-style RTS view right close in, even closer. And you can scroll right back out to the point where it's just a map with icons on. So it really puts you in this position where you feel like you're like a commander looking at some satellite imagery and directing units around the map and stuff, and it's really good, and it works on a kind of control point system. And I've only been playing the single player so far. I haven't played the multiplayer yet, to be honest, but I've played about 4 hours something of the campaign, and I'm having great fun with it. It's set like a kind of modern-ish day. I think it's like sort of maybe Cold War period. It's like post-World War II and kind of before now, I think, if you get me.
Yeah.
Somewhere between the two anyway. It's quite modern. It's got, for example, like Cobra helicopters and stuff, like attack helicopters, and you can use Chinooks and stuff to like reinforce supply. Like the great thing about it is the way you're kind of, because it's a lot like very tank based combat, and you've got, I mean, it's not just tank based, but that kind of seems like the crux of it. But you've got like infantry units that are in jeeps, and you have to unload them in and out of the jeeps, so it goes to quite a detailed level. Not quite as much as something like Men of War does, where you can manage the inventory of each soldier. But it's got a lot of detail to it, and there's 300 odd different units altogether, which is like, seems stupid amount of units, like you'd never use them.
Hell of a lot.
But kind of, they're all kind of similar, but they've got very slight different, like there'll be like 5 different versions of one type of tank, if you see what I mean.
Right, yeah.
That's not always the case. Some of them only have one version. But there's a lot of units, and you unlock them with these things called command stars. So when you complete a campaign mission or something, I think it counts for multiplayer as well, you get awarded so many stars, and then you spend the stars on unlocking units. So you can really get whichever units you want from the start. There's not like, say in StarCraft, where you have to build like a tech tree to get to a certain unit. Like if you want a Chinook for supply, then you can buy it with your first lot of command stars and start using it straight away. So you can really tailor what units you have to your style of play. Like I'm playing a very tank heavy style with air support from helicopters, and you can kind of really make your own tactics, and it just feels so strategical, and it's just really nice, man. I'm really enjoying it, and I love my strategy games anyway.
Do indeed.
But I'm really enjoying it, man. It's just really good fun. It's really good, and it's slow and methodical, and you can really plan things out, and your units will run out of fuel after they've travelled so far, or they'll run out of ammo, so you have to send supply trucks to within a certain radius so they can resupply them, or you can use the Chinooks, which carry more supply, obviously, because they're bigger, but they cost more. So you're kind of always trying to keep a sort of line of contact between your base where you've started and where you're pushing to, because you've always got to defend it, because you've got to keep reinforcing supply. Otherwise your units are going to die because they've got no ammo left. So it's like, it just seems quite really realistic from a tactical point of view, and the AI is really clever. It doesn't do the same thing every time. It really does. It will outflank you, and it will wait for you to push forward, and it will attack the base that you've moved away from, and it's just really good fun, man. I'm loving it. It's one of the best RTS games that has released recently. Like, it's really good. It's really, really good.
It sounds like something I should probably buy.
Every RTS fan should be playing it. It's really good, and it's I think it's connected through Steam, so it's got Steam achievements and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it uses Steam for the multiplayer. As I said, I haven't played the multiplayer yet, but it's really good. It's really good.
Cool. Got the Bobby seal of approval.
Definitely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, like I say, if you're even the slightest bit a fan of RTS games and kind of realistic RTS games, not something like StarCraft or however amazing StarCraft is, but yeah, say if you were a fan of Company of Heroes or something like that, I think this is probably actually better from an overall RTS viewpoint than something like Company of Heroes.
Better than Oil Rush.
Yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit better than Oil Rush. So Dan, you teased us before we started about you've been playing hot off the press Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
How are you finding it, man? What's it like going back to a game that you have such great memories of? Is it as good as it was then?
It's even better.
Really?
Yeah, the first time I played it was on the 360, and I didn't get on with it to start with, and then I started again when Mass Effect 2 was coming out. Really loved it, but kind of rushed it. Actually, no, that was my third playthrough when I did that. And now I'm playing it on the PC. It looks better. I got it for free.
Was that free with Dragon Age or something?
No, that was Mass Effect 2, which I haven't touched on the PC yet because I wanted to start from the beginning and, create a new Shepard. And I thought, let's get me in the mood for Mass Effect 3. I'd start all over again. And it was in stock game for $2.99, and I was going to buy that.
For $2.99?
Yeah, for the physical copy. But then...
Was that new?
Yeah, brand new, $2.99.
There's no arguing there, is there?
There isn't. But what happened in the end was my Mass Effect 3 order got cancelled, obviously. Mm-hmm. We kind of talked about that last week, I think.
No, I don't think we mentioned
Didn't
the
we?
fact that Game had cancelled all their pre-orders. That probably would have been something for the news section.
Yeah, we probably should have done that.
Yeah, Game aren't stocking any EA games by the looks of it.
No, apart the
releases.
SSX was the last EA release that they're stocking at the moment. Whether or not in the future they'll get back on their feet, but it's going to cost them 2.5 billion apparently, not having Mass Effect 3, which is quite a lot of money.
Was it 2.5 billion or was it 2.5 million?
I'm thinking it's probably million actually.
Yeah, I don't think it's 2.5
billions more than the game would make. Yeah, 2.5 million is going to cost them, which is kind of a bit of a blow to the old money belt, isn't it?
Yeah, they just seem to be taking more and more blows. I mean, they didn't have any Ubisoft titles for the PS Vita release.
No, that's now been resolved.
Yeah,
they
has
now have them.
But like, it's kind of pointless. I mean, it's not pointless. People still want to buy them, but
it is looking like the demise of game, which I would have thought a while back, brilliant, fantastic. But it's dawned on me the past week that if that does happen, I will have nowhere apart from Tesco's to walk into to buy video games. Tesco's and Sainsbury's. Now, they're not the greatest places to buy games. For a start, you can't get any PC games in Tesco's. But not in my Tesco's. And
you can't really say you can get PC games in Game, to be fair.
Well, the Barnstable one isn't actually too bad. They do have a PC section. It's about the same size as their Nintendo section, come to think of it. So it's not too bad. They do have a wall of really old games. But I got this £5 credit anyway. And I thought, I'll buy Mass Effect now. It was suddenly out of stock, so I thought, I'll buy the digital version. The digital version was $12.99. But I wanted to play it there and then, and I couldn't get into town.
Was that an
so
Origin version then?
No, it wasn't. It's got their own game downloader, which I'm a little bit concerned about. It doesn't update. Can't find any patches through their loader or anything. So.
And when games cease to exist in the next 6 months, you have nowhere to get your game from.
Oh, well, I've got the files backed up and saved, so that's all right.
Good man.
And I'll probably go out and when it's back in stock, buy another physical copy of it and keep it wrapped up for emergencies.
Why not?
Exactly.
So are you planning to play back to the actual game? Are you planning to play them both on the PC before Mass Effect 3 comes out? Or?
Well, that was the idea, but it's looking like I'm going to have to do a hell of a lot of gaming in the next week.
Yeah.
Well, next 5 days.
That's a lot of game.
I'm doing quite well. I've put in over 20 hours on the first one already.
Oh, so you're getting there then?
Yeah. I've done, I've got my entire squad. I've done a hell of a lot of side missions. It's got to the stage where my characters are all kind of overpowered. So everything's a breeze.
Yeah.
Stuff that I found hard the first time I did it too early is just a walk in the park. But yeah, it's such a great game, and going back to it is just fantastic. I love it.
Well, what are you loving about it? Is it the story, or is it... Because we had a lot of this talk about story in Mass Effect last week, didn't we? Is it the story that's making you find it great now, or is it the gameplay? Or is it...
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really been touching that much on the story, but all the little side quests have their own little story to them, and I think it's the richness of that Mass Effect universe, even in the first game.
Yeah.
It's just there's so much going on.
It seems like it's alive, doesn't it? Like it seems like it could be a real place. Like it feels real in a way. However,
and your actions have effects on that universe.
Yeah, it does. It seems like it's a real live universe, and
living, breathing.
Even if it's in a linear fashion, I mean, it's obviously Mass Effect's not linear by any means.
No.
But when say a certain quest, it still feels like they've scripted it in the way that you feel like you've really done something. Like
and I'd forgotten just how good Mass Effect 1 is.
See, now you're making me want to go and try it again, because I've tried it a couple of times, like I said at the start of the show.
Yeah.
Since playing it the first time, and it just seems so different. Like, because I've said it a number of times how I think the things that they kind of simplified a bit in Mass Effect 2, I thought that was a change for the better than for the worse. But you're making me kind of want to try it one more time now, Dan. But there's no way. I'm planning to get through Mass Effect 2 this week, and there's no way I'm going to get through them both. No way.
Oh, it's so much. It's fantastic. I really can't praise that game enough. I think I probably did it an injustice when it first came out, but it's luckily I wasn't on any shows then to do that injustice. Otherwise Total Biscuit would have had a right go at me. Had a bit of an argument with him on Twitter as well.
Did you? He's always wanted to kind of reply.
Yeah, that was fun.
What did you say? What did you upset him?
It was about the Mass Effect DLC. And he immediately got on the defensive. I was quite diplomatic. Didn't actually end up having a slagging match, and I think it's all right. He hasn't blocked me or anything, so I haven't offended him as much as I did that Scottish chap that used to be on that gaming show. Not Dominic Diamond.
I'm thinking of the astronomy guy when he used to be on Games Master. What's his name?
It wasn't Games Master. Patrick
Moore, that's it. Sir Patrick Moore.
Yeah, no,
when he was on Games
him.
Master, that was brilliant. That was.
I've completely forgotten what the chap was called. He's actually a Scottish comedian. But
we were talking about Billy Connolly last week. You're not talking about him again, are you?
No.
Because you were trying to remember a Scottish comedian.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah, it's a different one. It's much younger. But yeah, Mass Effect. If you haven't played it, you're an idiot.
Yep.
Or you don't like that game, then fair enough. But
I don't see how you can't like it. I don't.
And you know what? Game needs money. Go and give them your $2.99.
Yeah, they're desperate for it, and that stock's probably pretty redundant by now. But I just, I've heard so many people say, "Oh, I'm not really into the Mass Effect series," and I just feel like, have you looked at it? Like, Have you
It's like
seen the
people
front
say they
cover?
don't like-
Like, was the
Yeah.
front cover not enough? Like, I don't know.
It's like the people that say I don't like sci-fi. I'm always like, sci-fi is brilliant. There's always so much stuff.
Exactly, man.
You know, sci-fi films as well. Sci-fi films tend to have brilliant storylines. For some reason, my camera's gone off,
Yeah, you've just frozen. There you are. You're back.
and well, I must say I didn't actually pay $12.99 with real money. I had £8 something game credit, which I thought I'd better spend before they go bust, and the £5
I've had
voucher.
quite a few people saying, "What should I spend with my game points on before they actually go out of business?"
Yeah, well, if you've got £3, Mass Effect,
Why not, eh?
I'm going to see if it's in stock. You've been playing some flying game by the look of it.
I have.
Right.
Microsoft Flight. It launched on the 28th of February, I think, earlier this week, and it's free to play. And I don't know how much to say about it. It's a flight simulator. It's kind of hard to put across a flight simulator other than it being a flight simulator.
Yeah,
But they've done a genius thing with it, man.
they've
They-
monetized it.
Well, that's the bad part of it. So should we start with the negative? The negative is the amount of content that is in there for free is very, very small.
It's not much, is it?
There's a plane that you get from the start. There's another plane you unlock if you log into Xbox Live or Games for Windows Live, whatever it is. I'm going to get like shot because I've called it Xbox Live. But you unlock an extra plane just for logging in. And then from then on, I think there's 2 other planes you can buy at the moment, which are 600 Microsoft points each. And then there's an expansion pack which gives you Hawaii Island with a load more like missions and stuff, which is 1600 Microsoft points.
Ooh, that's £12.
And it feels like they've got the free-to-play model all wrong.
Yeah.
Because you need to give somebody enough of the content to get them hooked on it, but then you need to have the outlay be small enough that an impulse
don't
buy
notice
is
the
kind of,
purchases.
yeah, like like an impulse buyer is not really. You're going to hesitate a bit when you see that it's 1600 Microsoft points. I don't know what that is in real money, but I know it's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's about 12-13 quid, I think.
Yeah, and that's not really a microtransaction, which is what most of these
No.
free-to-play models work on.
Actually, just a quick aside, they're talking about getting rid of Microsoft points. And when they first came out, console gamers were kind of up in arms about them, going, "Oh, these space bucks." And obviously, on the PlayStation, they've just used money. Turns out that every single bit of DLC on the PlayStation Store, using real money, is more expensive than using Microsoft points. So they are actually quite good. And they're getting rid of them. Bastards.
Do you think how much better it would be for Microsoft, though, if they have that real money price on there and it's actually less?
Well, yeah.
Because no one really knows it's less, do they? But back to Microsoft Flight.
Yeah.
From an actual gameplay perspective, they've done this great thing where they've made it accessible.
Yeah.
Because a flight simulator is a kind of hard genre to break into, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
You really do need like a proper flight stick to actually be able to play them properly. I've played them before using Xbox controllers and just using the analog stick from there and using the keyboard for other things.
Yeah.
But Microsoft Flight have made it so that you can just use an Xbox controller and it controls pretty much everything. There's still a few keyboard presses for different things, but you can just fly it with an Xbox controller. So your right button and left button bumper buttons adjust the throttle up and down.
All right.
The right triggers and left trigger is the rudder.
Yeah.
And then your left stick is like your flight stick, so
Pitch and roll.
pitch and roll, yeah. So then, and the right stick doesn't actually do anything.
That's odd.
Well, you can look around with it.
All right.
You can just look around, like kind of like your mouse would be.
Yeah.
But with all the assists on, you can play it as a really casual type thing. and they've put these missions and challenges in there, and there's a multiplayer mode so you can fly with friends and stuff. Whereas in a normal flight simulator, you kind of have to make your own fun, if you get me.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like an open world. There will be like missions and things, but you kind of have to make your own fun out of the game, if you see what I mean. Like, can I get there faster, or can I get there by doing something crazy, or
you can be really anal and just fly a Boeing from Heathrow to Newark.
You could just do that.
There are people that sit there for 5-6 hours
Yeah.
pretending to be a pilot.
No, don't worry. I've driven trucks like across America before, man. Don't worry. I've been there. You know what I'm like with my simulators. It's when I get into the mood. But I've driven. I remember a whole night swapping between me and my friend, just driving a truck like down roads. Why not? But back to Microsoft Flight. They've made it really accessible, like I say. It's only 1.5 GB to download, and the graphics seem to suffer a little bit. It doesn't look as real as some other flight simulators. For example, I've had quite different experiences because I had this turn up, which anybody watching the video will see. It's X-Plane 10, right? And it comes in a metal tin, and contained within the metal tin are 8 DVDs to install the game. And if you look up closely, I don't know if you'll be able to read it on the camera, but it requires 80 gigabytes of hard disk space to install.
Well, that's one way to stop piracy.
Now, well, that's true. So I've had quite a different experience with a real flight simulator compared to Microsoft Flight, which now feels much more like a game. Whereas, I mean, because Flight Simulator X or whatever was like a proper flight simulator, you know.
Well, I played that, and there were some fun bits to it.
There was.
Like if you took the missions and trying to find trying to find the lost rhino or whatever it was in the microlight. And I used that with my 360 pad, and I found that was really good.
You did?
Yeah.
Nice.
But I also found that because my computer sucks, the graphics are a bit poor.
Yeah, they are quite. But, when it's looking at its best, it looks really good.
Yeah.
Like, there's some videos on YouTube you can watch of Flight Simulator X where it, from first look, it kind of looks like it's a real plane. And then you look at it again and you're like, actually, hang on a minute. It's just a flight simulator. But this doesn't look nearly as good as that. The plane models themselves are quite good, but it's the terrain mainly that seems to be suffering. But that's another thing, like, it's a kind of compromise on the accessibility. But you can still turn all the flight assists off, and you can fly it, like, with your proper flight stick and stuff.
In your cockpit.
In the cockpit, yeah. But it seems like from a gaming perspective, it's great. Like, I love it. It's really good. They've made it to a point where anybody can just pick it up and play it. It takes hardly any time to download it. You do have to go to xbox.com, however, to actually get it. It's the only way you can actually get it. But they made a mistake with the free-to-play stuff. There's not enough in there for free, and the stuff that is in the store is just far too expensive in my eyes. Whether as it bulks out, the prices come down. And another thing that someone else pointed out to me on Twitter that they've missed a trick on is there's no big jet fighters or anything. Not jet fighters, like commercial jet airliners.
Right.
So you can't, even if you pay, you can't get like a 747 or something like that at the moment. And the two planes you get are an Ion Atom or something, which is like
is that the one with the rear prop?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then the other one you unlock when you log in is like an old biplane, like a kind of stunt plane. I can't remember the model, but you know what I mean. And then there's two other planes. I think one of them is a jet plane, but it's only like a small, like private jet. But they're the ones you have to pay for. So there's not quite enough in there really at the moment to be calling it a full flight sim. But I think the stuff's going to start coming out pretty quickly for it. Like, I think they're going to be releasing it fairly regularly. So yeah, it's great. If you're just kind of curious about flight sims, definitely check it out, because if you haven't got like a flight stick or a controller or something, you do not want to be having your first experience of a flight sim with a keyboard. You just don't.
No, it's actually I had a go on Rise of Flight earlier this week. Damn, that game's hard.
Yeah. But yeah, You don't want to play games like that with a keyboard. So being able to be pre-configured for a 360 controller is really the biggest thing that kind of lets people interface with it in a way they understand. Because it will come up on the screen, press B to lower landing gear, or press Y to change your view, or it tells you what to do. Even the fact that the area you do have, though, there's still not enough missions and stuff in it. There's some challenges that you can kind of repeat and try and get better times on, where you have to go through targets and things like that. But the actual missions, there's kind of like, I think there's 4, and that's about it. Like, you take a woman to deliver her to a party on a cruise ship, so you have to make a water landing, which is quite fun. But yeah, it's good, man. It's good. I think ultimately they've done a good job with it, and to make it, like I keep saying, accessible to everybody, they've done quite a good job. I've been having fun with it, but then I do have fun with that kind of weird thing.
No, I'm going to download it at midnight.
I can't.
Running out of
bandwidth for you, Dan.
Yeah, I'm just looking on the site, and they've actually got the actual prices of the Adventure Pack and the Mustang. The Hawaiian Adventure Pack is $14.99, and the P51 Mustang is $5.99, and not out yet. No, it is out. There's just no photo. And then there's another plane that's £10, which is a bit odd.
Yeah, see, it seems. I know for like Flight Simulator X, you would buy an expansion which had like 1 plane.
Yeah.
And they weren't that cheap. But then Flight Simulator X wasn't cheap anyway. If you wanted to get into that, it was going to cost you a lot of money.
Flight sims have traditionally been quite expensive. Haven't they?
Well, this new one that I just got sent to me, X-Plane 10, I think it's £40 to buy just the game by itself, which is a lot for a PC game.
Yeah, well, £5 a disc.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, for this to be so small, and like I say, everyone should at least just check it out, because it's quite fun. It's quite fun, and it's free anyway. So there's not really any point in us discussing it. Just go and play it.
Yeah.
It's fun. I had fun. I just wish there was more stuff I could do without having to spend lots of money. Like, if it was like 99p or like maybe $1.99 for a new plane or something like
those random Xbox points that you might have that you could just
buy
a plane with or something.
Exactly. But it's just too much the way it is. I shan't be buying anything from it. But the free-to-play stuff is fun. So I don't know, how can I can't, like, it's good, it's great fun, but it's not fun enough to justify spending all that money. I don't know. Although the flight sim people will buy it, like,
yeah,
the die-hard Flight Simulator fans they will have bought that expansion pack and all the planes straight away. They'll just buy it, because they're the kind of people, they've spent all that money on them flight sticks and stuff, like, they don't care.
Yep.
It doesn't matter to them. Is there anything else you've been playing, Dan?
Yeah, actually, I completely forgot to put it in earlier, because I only finished playing it this afternoon. Finally finished the Gaming for the Elderly F1 2011 Championship.
Did you get an overall ranking?
I don't think they've figured out where it is. I'm not the worst human, I know that much. I haven't got the wooden spoon. At least I don't think I have. And I didn't win. Dave the Alien, I think, won the championship, so congratulations to him. Again, F1 2011, fantastic game. If you're not too good at it to start with, put the assists on. I've spoken loads about it in the past.
Same with Flight Sim.
Yeah.
If you've not played it before, don't try and take off with all the assists turned off,
Yeah.
because you'll probably hit a tree.
Yeah, you got to start the engine and
go up and come straight back down. Yeah, even starting the engine and doing the checks and stuff before you start.
Yeah.
It's like, press this, check this, look at this. It's like,
let me fly already.
Start engine assists on. Thank you. Now I can just press the throttle and just take off and start flying, and then crash on purpose. There's an achievement for crashing.
Brilliant.
Although I actually didn't crash on purpose the first time, when I realised there was an achievement for it.
I shall be playing that later on this evening.
I don't blame you for doing so, Dan. And when you do play it, just tell me, because I want to play multiplayer, because I haven't tried the multiplayer yet. I don't know if we can race or if we can just try and like
hit each other,
crash into each other. Yeah, can't Kind of like
kind of stuff you do on a flight sim.
dog fighting without the ammunition, like just trying to like knock wings off and stuff. I think we'll have good fun doing that, Dan.
Yeah.
And it's chilled out as well because you can plot your line and flight. And
I thought we'd finished about it.
I can't help it. I can't help it. There's something about them simulators. What?
I know, I'm the same. I want to try one of those trucking ones.
Get one. I think the one I spent loads of time on was 18 Wheels of Steel, but I think there's some better ones out now. But yeah, I drove for many, many hours on that. Just in like desert, like there was nothing to even look at.
Just go straight.
The road. But there's constant minor adjustments, man. You can't just go straight. It's the same with flight sim. There's that constant tiny level of tactile feedback you have to maintain to actually get where you want to go.
Where you want to go,
yeah. I don't know. There might just be something wrong with me. It could just be that. I don't know. But on that note, we're going to take a quick break once again. When we come back, we'll be discussing our question of the week, which I'll say again, if you haven't answered it yet and you're listening live, head over to ironhammers.org and leave a comment. We'll read it out when we come back, asking you about what you think about Valve possibly releasing a console. So, we'll see you in a few seconds. Well, a minute? 2? Maybe? I don't know how long exactly, but we'll be back. Welcome back, guys. Lots more generic music for you, and I was even kind enough to play exactly the same track as what I did last time. That was nice of me, wasn't it? How exciting for you all. Anyhow, let's get on to something that may be a little bit more exciting, hey? Valve are apparently releasing their own games console. Now, I don't know whether it's true or not. It was reported by The Verge. Now, it all kind of started when Gabe Newell mentioned hardware in an interview with somebody not so long ago. And now, apparently, The Verge have got sources that claim that Valve are in fact going to announce their own console. Specs are going around at a Core i7 processor, a 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it's an well, I don't know what it is yet, of course. This is all rumour and speculation, but it seems like it's going to be like an onboard GPU, like a kind of laptop-style mobile GPU, rather than a fully fledged graphics processor, which you would have in the desktop, obviously due to the size. There's also rumours that the recent Alienware little gaming computer thing that they released is a prototype for it, because they might be releasing it to other manufacturers. There's all kinds of stuff. We'll get into it a little bit more in a minute, but first off, Dan, have you got the list of user comments up?
Yeah, I have indeed.
You have indeed. Would you like to take the first one? What does Andrew say?
Andrew Eldridge said, the listed specs are more powerful than my current laptop. I think it could be time for an upgrade.
Now, just before we go into these a bit more, the comments are kind of short and sweet this week, and they all vary quite differently in opinion. So Claire Cass, I think that's how you say it, says it depends if their philosophy will change. So far, everything console related means dumb down games to fit the limited controller, because they are also planning to release their own controller apparently. Not to mention to increase the viable audience, because you sell more games if the game isn't too hard. I hope it will not alter their stance on us PC gamers, and with Valve I have a decent hope it won't, but time will tell. Of course, time will also tell if the console market is actually waiting for yet another console. They'll have to be really special to pull it off, or else they'll be drowned out by the more popular consoles. What does Fodder say, Dan?
Fodder said, usually when something like this happens, it means bad things for PC gamers. Look at all the great franchises that started on PC, and now look at how many of them are console ports and or loaded with third-party DRM. If the Steam box does not distract Valve from making top-quality games and services for the PC gamer, then I could get behind a console from them. If Valve do the unthinkable and pull an IW on the PC community, then that would absolutely suck.
And then our kiddo says, expensive. It will be expensive. Just the cost of an i7 will be ridiculous. And that's even more short and sweet than the first one.
It is indeed.
And then we have one more.
Yeah, from our resident common troll. He says, well, I bet anything made by Valve, so probably. Especially seeing as it sounds like it's a good spec. Do want very muchly. If you're wondering why I'll buy anything made by Valve, it's because they just deserve the money. They're one of the few companies left that treats their customers like people.
So, as I said, some varying opinions there. And it's all very kind of speculative at the moment, because we don't really know anything. But it seems the fact they're licensing it out to various manufacturers, and it seems like it could just be more of the Steam TV interface that we heard about before. Because the Alienware, I can't remember the model now, but the Alienware one that they released not so long ago, the small Alienware computer.
Oh, the X51.
I think it might be the X51.
Yeah, the one that's supposed to be based on the prototype.
Yeah.
That's $1,000.
Yeah. See, it's not going to be that cheap, and it is essentially just going to be a small computer. And so basically, there's a lot of questions to be answered, and nobody really has any answers. So I made a few notes of wanting to discuss a few different points, and really questions. I mean, if I could ask Valve questions, what would they be? So the first would be, who is it really for? Because it's going to be quite expensive with those specs, for sure.
Yeah.
So is it for the PC gamer that just wants an extra device? Is it for the console market, the current console market? Like, are they willing, like, trying to pull people away from their Xbox and PS3? We don't really know.
It's going to be hard for them to do that, because it is going to be pretty damn pricey.
It is, and that is the next question. What will it cost?
Unless they're prepared to take quite a significant
Well,
loss on it.
this is the thing. If Valve are willing to subsidise the hardware to make the money back on games, much like Xbox and PS3 do, or around launch they do at least, then perhaps it could become quite competitive. And then that leads to the next question of what OS will it use? Because obviously it's essentially just a PC. And the games on Steam currently are obviously PC games, mostly programmed to run using DirectX, which then requires Windows. So is it just going to be an interface on top of Windows? Or is it going to be a new operating system from Steam that, but then it leads to the next question, which, I mean, they're all just questions at the moment. Will the games have to be ported to work on it? Or will every Steam game just work on it because it might be Windows based? And also, the final question, if you buy a game on Steam, will it be the same for Steambox? Will you be able to play it on a PC and on that? Will it be a different SKU for the Steambox version? Not really leading anywhere with these questions, but they're all things that are kind of interesting to think about.
Would you want one?
See, I don't really know. See, what I would like, the way it is at the moment, if it's just a small PC with Windows and Steam on it, then I would probably just build my own small PC with Windows and Steam on it. However, if it's some kind of new OS that they're going to make available to manufacturers, what I would like most, if they made some sort of gaming OS that preferably, see that I'm going right down the wormhole here, even more than I did with Morgan Freeman the other night on that TV program. There was a lot of talk about Steam and porting games to Linux recently.
Yeah.
So, imagine if it's a version of Steam for Linux, with a Linux operating system, which Steam then release openly for anybody to install on PC hardware. You could then build your own Steam box, use their hardware, and they're basically, all they've had to do is develop the software, and they're going to get their cutback the moment you start buying games. Imagine it. It would
that would be
I would
brilliant.
be building a small media center type PC and installing the Steam OS on it, so to speak, and it would then be compatible with the game controller from Steam, and everything would work, and the games would all be ported. But then, if you take Windows out of the equation, are we then just going down the line of it is a console? Will it have to have set graphics requirements? Like, will we still get all the settings we get on a PC game? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Because these mobile GPUs are probably not going to be able to handle as much as they're definitely not going to be able to handle like a full desktop GPU. So, given the varying hardware that different manufacturers could come out with, are we going to end up with another Android kind of scenario where everything's all a bit kind of topsy-turvy and
cobbled together?
But that's also the good thing about Android. If it was a games console that's open and anybody can manufacture hardware and license the software from Steam or whatever, then you would be able to buy a really powerful console or a less powerful console, and if it ran the PC versions, you would be able to adjust the settings to match the hardware that was inside it, you know.
Yeah.
But we really don't know, because I think for Steam to do anything and sell a lot of them, they need their library of games on it, which basically means it's going to have to run Windows to some degree.
And it's going to have to be a reasonable price to be competitive.
Totally.
Unless people aren't going to look at it and think, well, actually the games are cheaper, I'll spend more on the console. They're just going to look at the price of the console. If it's more expensive than the next Xbox or PlayStation or Wii, and if it's significantly more expensive, they're going to forget that the games might be a bit cheaper.
They will.
So they won't buy it.
But then also, you've got to think about that, like you say, the price of the next PS3, because
Well, true.
the way it is now, we quite easily think about a games console as costing £130 or something like to buy an Xbox. I think it is, right?
Yeah.
Whereas that wasn't the case when the Xbox 360 first came out. You know, it was a lot more expensive than that. So if they're lining it up with a new Xbox or a new PlayStation or something, then say maybe £500 doesn't suddenly seem so much money.
It does at the moment in this economic climate.
It does, but how much is a new Xbox going to cost realistically? Like,
I'd put it somewhere between 300 and 400.
so exactly. So
Yeah.
I mean, 500 is not that much more. And if it was running like Linux or Windows as well,
Yeah.
the possibilities of what you can actually do with it are endless. So if they could make their controller navigate Windows also somehow, I don't know. We don't know, do we?
It's all conjecture.
Exactly. And like Common Troll saying, this happened. People bought the PS3 when it was £500 because I think that was the release price, wasn't it? $499.
Yeah, it was ridiculously expensive.
And I think that they could get the price to about £500 with that current hardware, because if you look at a laptop,
yeah.
and when you think you're not going to need the screen or the speakers or any of that extra stuff, it's just going to be the actual, say, the laptop hardware as such, in like a custom housing, you know. So I think they could probably get it to 500. And like we say, if Valve are willing to kind of try and incentivize sales by losing a bit of money on the hardware at first, which basically all companies do with new products like that, I think it could become quite a competitor, because if they're doing that now, they're doing it at the right time, because the next console generation is about to come.
Yeah, I think with E3, we're going to find out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, from what I've heard, the new Xbox is going to be at E3, while the new PlayStation isn't.
Yeah.
But we'll wait and see, because I wouldn't like to speculate on either of those happening, not happening, or even on this Valve thing happening. Now, see, what made me think it was a mobile GPU was an employee from Valve tweeted a picture of a
that box you
small
built.
computer that he'd built. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
With the two aerials at the back.
Yeah, and it used one of the small like mini ITX motherboards or something, which have an onboard NVIDIA GPU. That's what it was using. And I mean, these onboard graphics are no slouches these days. Like, they're actually quite good. People might recall when I was talking about playing StarCraft and such using Intel integrated graphics, watching on like the i3. It's the Intel HD 3000 or something graphics. I was playing games quite fine on that. So when you look at NVIDIA onboard graphics and stuff nowadays, they're going to be even better than that. So I don't see it as a problem, really. But yeah, man, I don't really know how to finish this topic up, because we quite simply don't know anything about it. It might not even exist.
It'd be... I don't know if I want it to exist. I kind of feel like I've got a Steam console in my computer.
Yeah. Now, see, that's what I'm saying, is by all they really... Is it just going to be this new TV interface, like some kind of incarnation of it, that they can boot straight into somehow?
Yeah, kind of like a gaming version of
like
Apple
a
TV.
skin on Windows as such, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because it's going to take an awful lot to get games off of DirectX from a PC version.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's... I don't know, man. We're just going to have to wait and see, aren't we? So that was really inconclusive. But,
interesting times.
It is interesting to see what happens, man, and kind of a bit cautious about it, because obviously I love my PC and I love Steam how it is now. Like, I don't want anything to be lost from what we have at the moment. I don't know if we will. We just don't know. But it's definitely one to watch, man, and it's definitely one to consider. But like I say, if I could build my own, then I'd want one. If you just go out and buy them off the shelf and they're just like an Xbox, then I probably wouldn't want one so much.
You know what I want it to have?
What do you want it to have?
I want it to have a red, like fire hose tap, like the valve, tap as the on-off switch. So you turn it to turn it on, turn it back the other way to turn it off. That would be awesome.
See,
I'd buy it
that's
if it
what
had
we're
that.
going to lose when it's made by third-party manufacturers. You're not going to get that.
Well, no, but if they do the valve, the valve one, or the
It'll
steam
be like
box.
the Nexus of the Steam box world.
Yeah.
But yeah, on that super inconclusive note, I think we've just about wrapped up the show, man.
I think we have.
I think we have. So cheers to everybody who came along to listen. I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers to everyone listening to the recorded version. And do you have a shout out this week, Dan?
Yeah, shout out to JSS Lifelike, Steve Conger. He's been a bit poorly.
No.
Hope he's feeling better.
I'm sure he'll get over it. I'm sure he will get over it.
If you want to hear about it, listen to the show that's coming up soon. It's very funny.
Shouting out and pimping all in one go.
Indeed.
Watch thegamesman.com for that. I'm trying to think if I have a shout out this week, and I don't really think I do. Yes, I do. Except I don't have a link for it, but it's spread.us, which is something I've been meaning to mention on the show for a while now, and I don't think I ever did. But basically, we've always said how great it is for you to share our content. If you like it, of course. If you don't. But if you like it, the best thing you can do for us is to share it with other people. And there's a new service called spread.us, which is spread us. And if you go to spread.us/settings/Ironhammers, it's a bit of a mouthful. But it'll take you to a dashboard where you can sign up to automatically share all our newest content on the website. You can set it to tweet it, you can set it to post it to Facebook, and it will do it automatically as soon as the content goes live, so it will be completely up to date. And you can set it to just post 2 times a day, or you can set it to post once a day, or you can set it to post everything, like Dan very kindly has.
I'm lazy.
But
It's like, yeah, just do it all.
just do it all. But there's various levels of settings, and you can always stop it at any time if you wouldn't like to do it. So check that out at spread.us/settings/Ironhammers. And
Just one quick thing.
be
I'm
the
gonna do a
person
quick
breaking the
Columbo.
news. Do it.
Sorry.
Do
just one more thing. I need to say thanks to Jen at Censored Pixel. Oh, sorry, at Censored_Pixel, who very kindly gave me beta code for Ghost Recon Online. So I'll be playing that if anyone wants to come and join me.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, as always, do check out the website, ironhammers.org. Subscribe on iTunes at itunes.ironhammers.org.
Leave a review.
Leave a review if you do that too. You can follow Dan at twitter.com/hardlydan. You can follow me at twitter.com/ironhammers. And you can visit our sponsors, Green Man Gaming, by using our lovely little link, which is gmg.ironhammers.org. You can support us and them at the same time by buying your games through that link, which would be awesome. And I know a few people have been doing it, so that's very kind of you all. And I think that's about it, man. So cheers, Dan.
It's been a pleasure, as always.
As always, it's always great fun. And we'll see you all next Sunday, I guess.
Indeed.
10 o'clock, around
Ish.
about. Will you be there, Dan?
I expect so.
Dan's always there.
May not be sober, but I'll be there.
That could be the case. There's only one way to find out, people. And that is to come back next Sunday at 10 p.m. On twitch.tv/Ironhammers. And while you're there, hit that little follow or subscribe button and get notified every single time we go live. Why would you want to miss out on that? We'll see you all later, guys. Cheers for listening. Bye-bye.